Welcome into the Boston Sports Summit. I am your host, Tim Barnett, and this show is presented by the Grid Network. I do want to just say thank you for being patient. I had a couple things I had to do, but other than that, we are back, and there is, kind of a decent lot to get to. So first, just want to give a shout out to the Super Bowl Dunk Kings jacket that took 3 effing months to send to me. So yeah, Duncan, if you want to do something like this year, make sure that you can actually handle all the orders that you take. Come on, let's be honest here. But first things first, we're going to be talking about the Patriots because obviously football is king, football rules. And yet there were some things that have gone on over this past season, over the last couple of years, which have, made football not so much fun. I mean, come on. And yes, I know I'm talking about the Chiefs. I mean, come on, let's be real here. I am definitely anti-Chiefs. I am anti whatever the hell they stand for, whatever nonsense they stand for. And, and yes, you could say, well, Tim, they're having their dynasty. You had yours. So for lack of better words, suck it up. I get it. To some degree, sure. I don't have a leg to stand on because I had my run. I get it. But you know what? There's a difference between the Patriots and the Chiefs' run of greatness, let's call it, right? Because New England, we had our entire time. We had 20 years of a dominant run, right? We made 9 Super Bowl appearances. We won 6. I mean, it was beautiful. And of course, without certain, how do I put this delicately? Without certain hiccups, let's call it, right? Certain hiccups along the way. But with the Chiefs now, that's a whole different brand. Because while they have gone 15-1 this season, I will give them that. Almost all of their games have been one-score games that they've won. Almost all of them, which is wildly rare for a team to go 15-1 or 16-1, whatever the new schedule is, 17 games, 16 games. It's so dumb, right? Regardless. Or no, they went 15-2. That's right, because they got their doors blown off. But when they were all playing, when everybody was playing, they went 15-1. So, I heard Nick Wright discuss his dynasty tiers. Now, Nick Wright is on FS1. He's a known Patriot hater from day one. He never gave us our dues. Never, ever, ever gave us our dues. Still won't give us our dues. But the dude would do anything to spend 5 minutes in a room with Patrick Mahomes. And if you get my drift, you get my drift. But his asinine take, and this is how some people in sports media make their mark and are able to be on national shows to talk sports, because they say the most outlandish things. Some, not all, but some, including, in my opinion, Nick Wright. I'm not a Nick Wright fan. I don't care what his history is. The dude should not be on sports talk radio, period. But his take that he had was absolutely asinine, and it was all about NFL dynasties. And I got a couple clips that I want to show you. Here's part 1 of what Nick Wright had to say about NFL dynasties.
Now, there are 6 true full-blown dynasties. We will reveal them now. The Cowboys from 92 to 95. The Patriots from 01 to 04. And the Patriots from 14 to 18. So looking at their resumes, full wins. The 01 to 04 Patriots in a 4-year stretch. 3 Super Bowl wins. They obviously, and then the 1 year in the middle, missed the playoffs, which is a bit of an oddity. And then the Patriots from 14 to 18. In those 5 years, went to 4 out of 5 Super Bowls. Became, at the time, just the 3rd team ever to make 3 consecutive Super Bowls, won 3 championships, and never finished outside of the Final Four.
See, the fact that now this is how you know this is just false from the get-go, is that when you're looking at his dynasties, he split the Patriots up, all because they won Super Bowls in 2 different time frames, which does not constitute a dynasty. I mean, we talk about the 70s Cowboys like they're a dynasty, and they won miles apart from one another. So the fact that he wrote it the way he did, the fact that he has New England's first 3 championships and then New England's latter 3 championships as 2 separate teams, that's how you know that he's manipulating data. And this is there's another reason why problem that I have with statistics is because it's so easy to manipulate data the way that he just did. Because from 01 to 04, yes, in 02, we did not make the playoffs that year, okay? That's an oddity, except that's not the oddity that he pointed out. He pointed out the Matt Castle year, if you listen closely. So he pointed out the Matt Castle year, but when you break down everything that happened post the 04, right? 05, we lost in the divisional round versus Denver. In 06, we went to the AFC Championship, had a 21-3 lead over the Colts and blew that. 07, lost to the Giants. 08, Matt Castle went 11-5, mind you. And the only reason why we didn't make the playoffs is because the effing Dolphins ran a high school offense called the oh my God, whatever the high school offense was that is flirted today. But the fact that they beat us that one game should have never happened. But needless to say, we were 11-5, the same exact record that Brady had in 01 when we were the 2nd seed in the AFC that year. In 09 was probably our worst year, yet we still made the playoffs, still had a home game, and got run all over by Ray Rice. In 2010, we had the best record in the AFC, lost to the Jets in the divisional round. 11, Super Bowl appearance versus the Giants. 12, lost in the AFC Championship game versus the Ravens. And then in 13, before we lost in the AFC Championship to the Broncos. Again, the fact that he left that whole segment out is exactly why cherry-picking data is so dangerous. Because that whole time span, it's not like we won in 01, 03, 04, fell off a cliff, didn't make our way back until 2014. That is absolutely not what happened, which is why I deem this his dynasty ridiculous. Okay? But just to wrap it all up, here's his entire list. But in the background, you're going to hear who he thinks is the number 1 dynasty. And oh, by the way, he's being an effing fanboy. So take a listen.
The greatest dynasty in NFL history is the one we are currently watching. 1 win shy of a 3-peat. The first team ever to make 5 out of 6 Super Bowls. There are no down years in this stretch, no down seasons, and the furthest they have been in this stretch from making the Super Bowl is an overtime 3-point loss. Right now, that's what it looks like. In about 10 days, it will look like this. Just throw a 4 up there. The greatest dynasty we've ever seen is the dynasty we are currently seeing, the 2019 to 2024 Kansas City Chiefs.
Like, again, what he said statistically is not wrong. The Chiefs have gone to the AFC Championship every single year Patrick Mahomes has been a starter in this league. And then they've won, they have lost. But again, the point that I'm trying to make is that Mahomes is still very young. And this is the other issue that I have with recency bias, is that, again, maybe it's because of, the name right here, Boston, but Tom Brady never got his dues from the mainstream media, mainstream sports media. Okay? But in terms of Mahomes, the dude is on his 8th year in the league so far, or 6th year, 8th year, whatever it is. And yes, he's appeared in 5 Super Bowls. But again, we had a 20-year span. We had our down years, but those down years were, an undefeated regular season, several AFC Championship game appearances, while also making 2 Super Bowls in that time frame. And then if Andy Reid retires and Travis Kelce retires, which if the Kansas City Chiefs win, I would be actually more shocked if they came back. But let's see how Patrick Mahomes does without one of the best coaches in NFL history, without one of the greatest wide receivers. I'm sorry. Travis Kelce is a tight end. Fine. Travis Kelce is one of the top tight ends in NFL history. But when that exercise to me was something that I'm like, okay, let's look at what the real NFL dynasty tier should look like. In which case, hey, I already given you the case as to why New England should be the number 1 dynasty, and there's no touching it. There is no touching it. 20 years of greatness. Here's my tiers. Tier number 1, New England, without a doubt. Yes, we did not make the playoffs twice, but it's not like we missed out. It's not like we were playing, 3 games and we knew we were eliminated. No, it came down to the final play of those 2 seasons that we didn't make the playoffs. But tier number 2, I got the 80s Niners, and you could argue that, it should be extended up until their final Super Bowl with Steve Young. And then tier 2, the 80s Steelers. That should be the 70s and 80s Steelers. Should be the 70s Steelers. Looks like I forgot to do a little homework there. Not homework, but maintenance on that graphic. But it should be the 70 Steelers, 70 to 79 Steelers, and then 70 to 79 Cowboys, Roger Staubach. That team, and you could even date back to maybe the 60s with those Cowboy teams in the early 80s. The Cowboys had an extremely long run in the late 60s to the early 80s. So the Cowboys of the 70s, not a fluke. They just couldn't come up in the big game when it mattered. They did win a couple, but it's just those last couple that really, those games that they missed out on, could have cemented them as a legacy. Instead, it went to the Steelers. But tier 3, the current day Chiefs, if they win this game on Sunday, which I pray to God they don't, if the Chiefs win this game, they will move up to tier 2. The 60s Packers, if you include NFL championships, and the 2 Super Bowls that they won, the first 2 Super Bowls, hence the Lombardi Trophy. And then the Bill Parcells Giants, and finally the 90s Cowboys. Like those are the real dynasties. The other ones that he had, if you notice, were just nonsense. Like you had the 2-year Broncos when they won in the late 90s. He had the Dolphins 2-year run or 3-year run in the 70s. The only other legitimate team I want to give him credit for maybe was the Redskins of the 80s, but it should have been 80s, early 90s, with John Riggins and Joe Gibbs, like Joe Theismann, those teams, right? The Redskins could have easily gone into the 90s with that one. But again, those are, in my opinion, the real dynasty, NFL dynasties, and how they should be ranked. Nobody has been able to top what Belichick and Brady did for 20 years. And could you imagine, had the Patriots not only gone undefeated, they won that one Super Bowl, and for all intents and purposes, let's say I'll give them that second loss to the Giants. I'll give them the second loss to the Giants if that means we can go 19-0. If we went 19-0 and 1-7 on top of all the other Super Bowls that we won, hands down, bar none, there will never be another team like that ever again. There is never going to be another dynasty. Unfortunately, it did mean we lost. I'm not going to deny that, but it's a hypothetical. Regardless, we still did everything that we did. The only question that I would say is, again, everybody wants to sit there and shout at me being like, Tim, you don't know. It's, you had just as much luck as the Chiefs and you cheated. You did Spygate. You did Deflategate, yada, 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 yada. Crap on crap on crap. And is that too blunt for you? Does it tell you how I really feel about all the nonsense that this Patriots team had to go through? And I get it. Listen, you're going to sit there and you're just going to say to me, again, now you're going to deny everything that I just did. You're going to say, you deny, again, you guys cheated so much and, this is why you won. You're the exact same as the Chiefs. And it's like, no, we're not. We're not. Actually, if anything, you kind of miss us. You miss the Boston. You miss New England. And I loved being the guy that just, you know what? We played 2 games a year. It was the AFC Championship and the Super Bowl, right? That's how it felt. And I miss it. I'm not going to deny that. I totally miss it. And of course, we fell off like a cliff at the end. But for everybody that says the Chiefs and the Patriots are the exact same team, they're not. They're absolutely not. Because the benefit the Chiefs have is what is called referee influence. What the Patriots had was extremely different. And take that for how it is. Let me know how you feel down below. Let me know how you feel down below, how, you're going to write me off, and that's fine. I got no problem with that. But everything that's going on with this team, with this game coming up. Oh, and speaking of this game, I mentioned this last week, and I do truly believe that this is how I want this game to go. You have Philadelphia, and then you have Kansas City. I don't want any of them. I don't like either of them. If I had a choice, this is how everything would go. And again, just want to preface, I don't want anybody to get hurt. I don't want anyone to, any injuries based on what I'm about to show. And I truly don't believe this, and I truly don't want this game to go this way. I'm just saying, for all fun and joking references, this is how I want the Super Bowl to go on Sunday.
Let the games begin.
think we can all agree with that. But no, in all seriousness, though, I want to jump back to the Patriots dynasty. First and foremost, when it comes to New England versus Kansas City, I want to jump back to the Patriots dynasty, and I want to talk about some of the calls that we got. Okay? Now, the first one I'm going to jump back to is the AFC Championship game in 2017, where Miles Jack strips Dion Lewis. He comes up with the ball, and the referee blows him down. Meanwhile, he had a clear lane to go take that fumble all the way back to the house, and which probably would have put the game out of reach for the Patriots because we could barely move with the ball. Barry Church, just cheap shot at Rob Gronkowski, concussed him, and he was out of the game for the rest, or he was out for the rest of the game. Let's not forget about that. But the other thing, which I know, we benefited from the refs, right? No, we didn't. Not like the Chiefs did. But everyone's going to harp on this play right here.
Lost the football. It's on the ground. Covered by the Raiders.
The quarterback's arm was going forward. It is an incomplete pass.
Well, there's no doubt his arm was going forward.
Sure. But he had held up.
I think it's safe to say that this will be talked about quite a bit.
You think?
Exactly. Even Phil Simms was saying how that his arm was going forward. And, of course, it kicked off, the Patriots dynasty. Lest we forget. I'm not going to deny that. But when it comes to the letter of the law, it was absolutely called the right way because his arm was going forward, and not for nothing, it happened to the Patriots earlier that season. I have the proof right here. Vinny Testaverde comes in. He gets stripped as his arm is going forward in motion. And the Patriots got the ball. They ruled it an incomplete, or ruled it a fumble at first. But as you can see, Roman Pfeiffer coming off the line on the right side, comes in, strips Testaverde as his arm was going forward. And at the time, that is what they deemed to be the tuck rule. He wasn't necessarily throwing it forward as he was tucking the football. Ergo, it was deemed an incomplete pass. All right? So for everybody who's like, no, the tuck rule is Brady, blah, blah, blah. Well, no. Week 2 earlier the same season as Brady's snowball tuck rule, that happened first. So we knew, and Walt Coleman, to his credit, knew the rule, knew what the call should have been, and made the right call. To all the Raiders out there who still hate that call, by the letter of the law, it was deemed correct. All right? So, I don't want to hear the tuck rule and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, it helped, but it was the right call. Now, when also talking about all the Patriots miscalls, what? How can that be? How can a team that won so much not get the benefit of the refs? Right? Isn't that how it always goes? Doesn't the team that's so successful always get the benefit of the referees? Well, I mean, I got a few plays that prove differently. Just FYI. First and foremost, I'm just going to show even just the plays from the Super Bowl that we went to 3 straight Super Bowls on when we lost to the Eagles. At the end of the game on the Hail Mary, look at what happened to Chris Hogan on the Hail Mary route. And tell me, was this 5 yards down beyond the line of scrimmage?
They do not jam Gronkowski.
One more time, just for good measure.
They do not jam Gronkowski.
I mean, Chris Hogan is running full stride ahead, clearly miles beyond the line of scrimmage. And James Bradbury just shoves him, mid-stride, throws it completely off, which should have been at least illegal contact, if not pass interference. Then, not to mention, the same game, we had the Philly special. Now, when you look at this play, you see all the linemen lined up on sides, and then you see Alshon Jeffrey at the top. Well, the funny thing about Alshon Jeffrey being at the top is the sheer fact that he is not on the line of scrimmage like he should be, i.e., this is an illegal formation. And the referees were kind of like, sure, we'll just go with it anyway, right? Well, unfortunately, that ain't how it works either. And then the last play I want to bring to everybody's attention is the Corey Clement touchdown. And for those of you who don't remember the Corey Clement touchdown, all right, good, that's down to 0. Corey Clement was the running back for the for the Philadelphia Eagles at that time, who ran a wheel route and then made a catch in the back of the end zone. A great catch, mind you, but his catch should have been ruled out of bounds. And now, why do I say that? It's because what Corey Clement, what his touchdown did was put the Chiefs up even more. The problem was his foot was beyond when he caught the ball. He caught it in such a way that he was bobbling the football as he was going out of bounds. And as he was going out of bounds, he made the catch. You know what? I apologize. I thought I should have had that prepared. And needless to say, it is not. Regardless, I'll just get it back to normal. Needless to say, Corey Clement bobbled the ball, barely had it initially, and he had to regain possession. As he was regaining possession, his foot stepped out of bounds, and there's a great picture from the side view showing the ball in his vicinity, right in his chest area, right here, but no hand is grabbing the ball at that time. Nothing. And yet, I saw I posted about this on my X, which, again, follow below if you haven't already. But I posted a comment about that, and somebody responded to me saying, oh, well, Steratore said that he still had possession. And my response was, in what world does a wide receiver who makes the initial catch but then has to let go to then regain possession? Show me a receiver outside of that Corey Clement play in Super Bowl 52. Show me a receiver that did that and they gave him the catch. Because you can't find one. You cannot find one. So for a team that has had up to that point 16 years of a dynasty run, and they didn't get multiple calls in the biggest game of the year, and no one was saying that the refs were, or some were saying the refs were benefited the Patriots, but it was always the Patriots are cheaters, the Patriots are cheaters, the Patriots are cheaters. So that was absolutely absurd. That's the way they ruled that play. It should have been an incomplete pass, which was 3rd and 6. It would have set up Philadelphia for a field goal attempt, about 40, maybe 50-yard field goal attempt. Okay? Not saying that they would have missed it, but I'm just saying that would have been the next succession. So it was absolutely foolish for that to be the case. Then you want to talk about the cheating? Fine. I'll talk about the cheating, because let's go back to the Spygate. All right? With the Spygate, the big crux of that issue was the fact that the Patriots were penalized for recording signals from opposing teams' coaches during games. But the kicker was, what really Spygate was about was the fact that the Patriots were filming in unauthorized location. Not that it was illegal to film signals. No, everybody could film signals. It was just the location that they set up. The location they set up in was the issue. Everybody's filming signals, but they just set up in the wrong spot. And so ESPN, running this story, actually had to issue an apology. That's right. ESPN blew this up so much and misled the public so much that they had to issue an apology. That's right. And for those of you who can't see there, the statement that ESPN made was, the New England Patriots have never filmed or recorded another team's practice or walkthrough. The first time we ever heard such an accusation came in 2008, the day before Super Bowl 42, when the Boston Herald reported an allegation from a disgruntled former employee. The report created a media firestorm that extended globally and was discussed incessantly for months. It took 4 months before that newspaper retracted its story and offered the team a front and back page apology for the damage done. Clearly, the damage has been irreparable as recently as last month, over 7 years after perpetuate the myth. Quote, on 2 occasions in recent weeks, SportsCenter incorrectly cited a 2002 report regarding the New England Patriots in Super Bowl 36. That story was found to be false and should have not been part of our reporting. We apologize to the Patriots organization. Okay? So ESPN kept running with the fact that we filmed Super Bowl 36. We filmed Super Bowl, the practice and the walkthroughs of all the Super Bowls, and Marshall Falk still believes that we did that. No, Marshall, we just kicked your ass. Okay? This is the issue with the Patriots and Spygate. Now, if you want to talk about Deflategate, that's a whole other can of worms, because with Deflategate, the funny part about that is it was cold, it was rainy, it's Foxborough in January, and Brady likes the balls deflated on the lower end of the scale. Okay, there's a sliding scale, and Brady liked it on the lower end. So as they're playing this game, you don't think that the air pressure, might have caused the balls to deflate a little bit? Oh, wait, that's right. They did. Because let's check this out. A 7th grader did a project on this and proved that the Patriots were right, the NFL was wrong, and that it became more about the cell phone fiasco and Roger Goodell going after Brady on nothing. Now, don't get me wrong. It actually kind of helped, because it not only saved Brady 4 games of, hits in the year we beat the Falcons, but it fueled the fire in the Patriots to go out and keep dominating the way they did. It was just absolutely ridiculous. These notions that, oh, the Patriots are cheaters. The Patriots are cheaters. Well, no, not entirely. I mean, sure, if you want to say we filmed in the wrong location for Spygate, fine. But to sit there and say we filmed walkthroughs and practices, ESPN issued an apology. The Herald issued an apology. So, wrong. Now, that's all about New England. But when it comes to the Chiefs, we have eyes. We see what has been going on with them. Just a couple of stills I want to show from the Patriots, from the Chiefs-Bills AFC Championship game, just to mention a few missed calls. I mean, look at that right there. I see Chris Jones and number 90 clearly lined up in the neutral zone, which should be a neutral zone infraction, but wasn't. And it made me remember, oh, no wonder why Chris Jones was bulldozing the center every single time. It's because he was so close that he had the leverage to get up underneath the center instead of being the minimum distance back. No, he was already lined up in the neutral zone. It should have been a Frank Clark situation all over again, but no, the refs are three blind mice when, making calls against Kansas City. Then another still, Josh Allen has the first down from this far out, but a closer, even more better picture clearly shows he is on the first down marker, which is the 40-yard line. And again, similar to a touchdown, the tip of the ball needs to be at the first down marker. If half of Josh Allen's body is on the first down marker, yeah, kind of safe to assume that he got the first down there. But to show some awful calls that the refs missed, we're going to show you first the INT that somehow the guy who barely has a hand on the football ends up with.
Possession of that. So right there, he doesn't get the left, and that ball hits. And I can see it because you can't completely say no, but that ball hits pretty. I don't know if you have possession for it.
The other thing you're saying is Worthy's pinning it there. Now when it comes down and it makes contact with the ground, does the ball move enough to say?
Clearly, if anything, that is an interception and at worst an incomplete pass. It is, again, you have eyes, I have eyes. It's not hard to miss that. Secondly, the Chiefs, again, so the hip drop tackle, for those of you who don't know, is when the defender, who's typically a DB, is trying to tackle a big guy, which happened to Gronkowski and how he got hurt a couple of times. But they wrap around the waist and then just sink their hips so that way the runner has to fall down to their knees and typically falls backward. So as Dalton Kincaid is running, check out this the Chiefs tackle and tell me, is this a hip drop tackle? Because pretty sure it is.
Stroud floats it. He's got his man Schultz. And Dalton Schultz is down to the Kansas.
I apologize, Dalton Schultz. That's the Texas game. Either way, that's a hip drop tackle. Dalton Schultz could have gotten very hurt right there, but no call, which would have given them 15 yards, even more. Now, again, just to clarify, had the Texans actually made their field goals, we might be talking about a different game. Had the Bills not gone for 2 all those times and not gone for it on 4th down all those times, we might be talking about a different game. Regardless, it's all these missed calls. Then, talking about, Mahomes as a runner, let's watch some Mahomes runs and tell me if these were correct calls.
Take off to his right. And then slide down. They're going to throw a flag on that.
I mean, right there, it is clear as day. And the reason why I want to show you that first video is because you see him clearly running around, acting like a chicken with his head cut off, doesn't know what to do, and then decides to slide late. This is the problem with Mahomes. He's a runner. There is no helmet-to-helmet contact even if he slides. Or actually, not even if he slides. He slid extremely late. And that is how you have situations like this. 15 yards, no matter what. Oh, he's a quarterback. Oh, boo-hoo. He doesn't know. He doesn't want to get hit, man. It's ridiculous. And then this last one, just to add insult to injury with this guy. And it's so easily the reason why you hated us, why people nationally hated us, was because we were good at what we did. And we beat you. Did we get help from the refs? Occasionally. But were our games scrutinized to the length of all of these Chief games? And not only Chief games, but games that dictate championships. No. Here's this other one that adds insult to injury with Mahomes that just drives me up a wall and makes him easily one of the most hateable guys in the NFL.
Mahomes fakes that little pass and then puts it in his left hand. He kind of flops out of bounds. They're not going to throw a flag. Mahomes trying to get a free first down, won't get it. And a gain of just 2 as To'o is along the sideline to make the stop.
He's trying to draw the penalty. You see that rather than just run out of bounds, he slows down. And
it's an absolute disgrace to what he's doing. And then the funny part is, too, last year, statistically, the Chiefs were number 1 or number 2. It's right. They were number 2 in the most holding calls during the regular season. And then they're playing the Nick Bosa and the Niners in the Super Bowl. And, oh, my God, they didn't get a holding call? They actually got their act together and didn't hold a single time? No, that's not what happened. They held numerous occasions. The refs just refused to call it. That's what is so ridiculous when the Chiefs are the number 2 most penalized team for holding calls. And then in the Super Bowl, there's not a single holding call that went against the Chiefs. I mean, make it make sense for me. Now, I've seen, some guys talk about how, Patrick Mahomes is the 16th player to incite roughing the passer calls, or, Josh Allen is number 1, gets the most roughing the passer calls. And they're trying to justify, again, using statistics in the wrong way. It has absolutely nothing to do about the amount of calls. That's not what I'm complaining about. What I'm complaining about is the timing in the way that these calls and the fashion that these calls are made or missed. Because when they're made, they are clear as day nonsense calls when you actually look at it with 2 eyes. Then when you look at the non-calls, they are clear as day calls that should have been made. And so that's what drives me up a wall as a football fan. Yes, I am a Patriot fan. I have already expressed that from the beginning of the show. Hell, the show is the Boston Sports Summit. If you don't think that I'm a Patriots fan, then why am I even doing this show, right? So obviously I'm a Pats fan, clearly. And yes, there are some people out there who will take everything that I just said and throw it in the dumpster because of my fandom and because of the dynasty I just had. And if you please, and this is my assignment to you and to all your friends who think the Patriots are awful, please find me all these different penalties that the Patriots got the same penalties that the Chiefs are getting. Please find them to me. And I promise you, I can be down the middle and tell you that those are either good calls or good no calls, or that, yeah, they were right. They were right not to throw the flag there, or they were right to throw the flag there. This is what I'm talking about. It's absolutely ridiculous. And I promise you, you're not going to find as many calls as I can with this Chiefs team. You have 20 years. I will give you 20 years of the Patriots to find as many calls as I can in 6 years. Honestly. And again, you sit there and wonder why this is why I want to happen in the Super Bowl on Sunday.
Let the games begin.
I just wanted to show just a brief second of that. But all in all, I do want the Eagles to win. I want the Eagles to win. I want Saquon to win. I think, Saquon has just been a consummate pro, such a great guy, and somebody that, if you want to emulate a football player, that's the guy you emulate. And not for nothing, I've always been an A.J. Brown fan, especially since he should have been a Patriot. But what do you know? The Patriots don't know how to draft an effing good wide receiver. So the last thing I do want to talk about here is the Celtics. Now, the trade deadline is tomorrow, and they just traded Jaden Springer away for a couple, along with a second-round pick for a second-round pick from Houston. The amount of stockpiling on these picks, in terms of like second-rounders that I see is kind of crazy. And, Jaden Springer has seen the floor a little bit more often than usual. So, looking back on it now, yeah, you can argue that the Celtics were throwing Springer on the floor to showcase his talent. And of course, he did great in our win versus the Clippers. He was instrumental at the end of that game to help us win versus the Clippers. But by trading his salary, it freed up $15 million of cap space. And the two things that I've heard kind of rumored, which I would be livid if one of them happens. But the first thing that I heard was that the trading of Jaden Springer and freeing up that $15 million is going to help entice buyers for the Celtics, which to me, I think is kind of absurd because it's all about the cap space. It has absolutely nothing to do with buying this team, with buying the franchise. So to me, that just doesn't make sense. And then the other rumor that I've heard floating around was just this god-awful idea of bringing Marcus Smart back, which I don't care if the dude has been gone a year, 5 years, 10 years. If he dons a Celtic uniform one more time, I am going to vomit. Marcus Smart getting traded was the best thing that could happen to this team. And the amount of green teamers that I see who are still making effing tribute videos to Marcus Smart, one of the most toxic players in Celtic history, they are gushing over this dude. And what has he done for you? Oh, what? He was drafted 13th overall, 14th overall, and he hustled? Oh my God, a basketball player who made diving plays and hustled on the floor. Where are we going to find guys like that? I mean, the stupidity that I see from these green teamers who just will not stop gushing over a player like Marcus Smart drives me up a wall. And I get it. Brad Stevens had a video I just saw recently saying that it was definitely one of the hardest things that he had to do. I don't get it. I mean, I get that because when Brad Stevens came in when Marcus Smart came in, he coached him and then he became the general manager. Of course, it's going to be hard to deal a guy like that, when you have to build the relationship as a player coach. But to sit there as fans and say that Smart deserved a ring, Smart needed a ring, or Smart needs that ring we don't get without Smart is one of the most asinine, idiotic statements. I think of at least one of them I've ever heard. Because it's not like he got traded midseason. And two, the Celtics, Tatum and Brown were able to take that step forward in their development by finally claiming their team. Marcus Smart, for at least 3 years, while he was on this team, knew, or at least should have known, that the reins were now passed to Tatum and Brown. But now, but he would never do it. He would never do it. It was always his show, which is why Marcus Smart was getting traded to Memphis was literally the best thing that could have happened for this Celtics team. Now the question is, what are the Celtics going to do with that $15 million opening that they just received? And if they bring back Smart, it's not going to be pretty. I think it's going to, make the locker room more toxic. I think if they get rid of really any one of the starting five from Holiday. I mean, Holiday's probably the easiest person to trade, in my opinion, in terms of the fan connection or the connection to this franchise. But I don't want him traded. I don't want Pritchard traded. I don't want White, Porzingis, Brown, or Tatum traded. I think this team, as currently constituted, can still go on and make a run. Now, if you want to tell me you can get a solid center, maybe we could move on from Cornette and get an upgrade from him or something to that effect. Fine, I'm totally there for it. But again, I got to see the trade. My only fear is we're bringing back Marcus Smart. And if we bring back Marcus Smart, I think that's just going to be the worst thing for this team. I 100% believe that. And then the last thing, the Celtics did their part. They got the big win in Cleveland last night. That was a much-needed win, and it's funny because it turns out the Cavs are 2-5 versus the Thunder, Celtics, and Rockets. So that's pretty interesting. But the Celtics had, I think almost a 20-point lead, if not a 20-point lead in the fourth quarter, and nearly blew it. The lead dwindled. I think it got as close to as 4 points. But with a couple massive shots from Derek White, the Celtics were able to rebuild that comfortable lead and then run away with this game, which is exactly the type of win I think this team needed. I think they needed to have a big lead in the fourth, have it get cut down to show, hey, get your ass in gear. We got to get this. We got to win this game. But all in all, it actually worked out for the best. It really did. And that's the best thing that the Celtics, I think, could have happened to the Celtics. And yeah, there's my little girl. There's my little girl, Eden. Say hi, Eden. Come on. Say hi. Oh, where is it? There it is. Say hi, Eden. Say hi. Yeah. Yeah. She just wants some playtime. But yeah, which means I'm not gonna take too much longer. But all in all, I do want to say that was a good win. I'm not looking at it as the 40-point blowout win after losing. And because even after that 40-point win, I still thought that this team had a long way to go. And I think this is a win that showed the Celtics, we got this. We got this. And we do. We just got to play like the team that we did. We're very good defensively. We just have to actually care. And then we got to hit our shots. We got to hit our shots. And when we realize that, oh, hey, we're 1 for 15 from threes right now. Should we take more threes or should we just get twos? you get the 2. You get the easy bucket. And if you're wide open, then be my guest. Take the 3. And hopefully it hits. But all in all, it's stuff like that I really want to say that the Celtics, as currently constituted, can go back-to-back. There's no doubt in my mind. Absolutely no doubt in my mind. And then the last thing, because it just happened, is the Red Sox. Once again, Red Sox dealing with truck day on, yesterday? Actually, Monday. And then Sam Kennedy has to do another effing interview. This blowhard has to do another interview and then just goes on to say, quote, the approach Breslow took was one of extreme aggression, extreme urgency. That doesn't mean you're going to end up signing every single free agent you engage with or complete trades that you embark on. It has been great to see aggressive approach and the sense of urgency within baseball operations to improve. Again, it's, same story, different day. If that blowhard thinks that this offseason was one of urgency, he is living in a silo that it just goes all the way up to Mars. That everything is awesome when it comes to the Red Sox. They can't do any wrong. That, oh, look, we have the number 1 farm system. We made the trade for Crochet. We, signed Bueller. We signed Chapman, which I didn't want to sign. I don't think we should have signed him anyway. But this dude is such a freaking blowhard. And he thinks that we're dumb. He thinks that you're dumb. He thinks that I'm dumb to to not believe what he believes. Honestly, it really is just the worst. It really is hard to cheer on this team. It really is, because by cheering them on, we're allowing this ownership to keep getting away with making deals the way they have. That they are afraid to go the multi-year deal on a guy 30 and older. Yet, that's right, they wanted to sign Max Fried for 6 years and $190. And if they wanted to go 6 years, when was the opt-out clause? Because if they're afraid to go 6 years and $190, and meanwhile the Yankees got him for 7 years and $230, where was the opt-out clause for the team? Was it after year 2? Was it after year 3? Because that's the $1 million question right there. And not only is the years matter, the money matters, but the opt-out clause. And it's so infuriating to see guys like the Dodgers, like the Mets, like the Yankees, to some extent. When it was George running the show, they would sign. It wouldn't matter. They would sign the guy. But now with Hal and George's kids, they're chicken. They are big fat chickens compared to their father. But it really is just one of the worst things. And I would love to sit down and have a good debate, kind-hearted. I would not call him names. I would just come at him with the facts. I'd come at him with the facts, and I wouldn't raise my voice, but I would love to just sit down and figure out why this is what they believe in. They signed all these contracts in the past, and now they're just so focused on, we want to get the best deals, and we don't want to pay the luxury tax. You're the Boston Red Sox. You have the ability to pay the luxury tax. I know what the Fenway Sports Group rakes in per year. So spare me on this idea that you can't afford it, because you can. You just choose not to. And by choosing not to, you make it hard for fans like me who want to be there, who want to endorse everything that you're doing by buying the ticket, by investing my hard-earned money on the most expensive ticket price, on the most expensive beer price, on the most expensive food price. I want to do that. But you make it damn near impossible for me to want to do that. So, again, Truck Day, I'm glad it's over. And for anybody who celebrates that fake-ass day, and again, this has absolutely nothing to do with the ownership. It just has everything to do with, it's so dumb. It really, I'm glad that literally 2 people were there on Monday because it's stupid. It really is. That's it. So, no, honestly, though, it's, I am thankful. I am grateful for, you all who watch. I do want to express, my gratitude there. And, obviously I wouldn't be here without the Grid Network. They're grateful. I'm grateful to them to, hosting, being hosts on this show. And, hey, for the Boston Sports Summit, my name is Tim, and I am grateful to be here. So thank you all for another year of the Boston Sports Summit. Hopefully this year we get bigger and it just keeps growing and growing. So thank you all. And I want to say, hope you guys have a great rest of your week, and God bless. Thank you so much.